Hello, hello. We are live. Welcome to Oh My Loaf. My name is Frank Kramer. I'm the founder of Oh My Loaf. And today we want to talk about how to get a better crust on your gluten-free bread. So I hear this many times that people who bake gluten-free bread have issues with the crust. It's too soft, it's soggy, it's gummy. I want to show you a trick that you can avoid this. Okay, the way I usually bake my breads is in a pullman, just like this, with a lid on it. So um, the number one thing is to get a nice crust is steam. How do you get steam if you don't have steam in your oven? Okay, so when you have a pullman like this one, and I actually have a dough in here, which will be baked in about 30 minutes, um, we put the lid on, and while we bake this loaf, steam creates inside this baking pan. So because the steam is trapped in here because of the cover, the lid, the steam first makes the bread moist at the top, and later when we remove the lid, the moisture obviously disappears, and then we can brown the dough. So the moisture has also the effect that the dough rises much better, much easier, because it's nice and soft. But once we remove the lid after about 30 to 40 minutes, um, the moisture disappears and the loaf can finally brown. So gluten-free breads take much longer to bake than regular breads. So a wheat bread usually takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. These ones take anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. So it's a big difference as to when it comes to baking times. Okay, what happens if you don't have a pullman with a lid on it? Okay, for instance, you have this one here. You put the loaf in here. You could potentially put foil over it and bake it this way, so trap the steam in there. And after about 30 or 40 minutes, you take off the foil, and that's it. Another method is, and that's how bakers do it in a different way, but you can put ice cubes in your oven. Put a baking tray on the bottom of your oven and put a handful of ice cubes in it. Close the door and then put your baking pan in and let it bake. And for about 30 minutes, you leave the ice cubes in there. You may have to replenish them if you don't have any more in there, or put more in. And um, after 30 minutes, you remove the ice cubes. That's it. Um, that's the way you create steam. Uh, that's essential to get a really, really nice loaf. For instance, this one here. This is one of my mixtures, loafy like crazy. It's beautifully tanned, so to speak. And that's a free form loaf. Um, I just rolled it up and then scored it here and a little bit on the sides here and baked it. So that was with 30 minutes steam. That's what makes steam to your bread. If you don't have steam, your bread come out pale, especially with gluten-free bread. Gluten-free bread they look pale to begin with. They look kind of ugly if you don't have steam. So it's very important um, to utilize steam in your baking. Okay. Okay. So um, let me see. The middle rack position is always the best to bake on. So your bread gets heat from both top and bottom part. I like to use my roasting feature. If you have a um, convection, you can use that. I prefer it's hotter, it's nicer, it's more powerful. When you uh, bake, you want to make sure that the beginning temperature is very, very hot. I use 425 degrees, and I think my oven is even hotter than 425. I don't have a thermometer for the oven itself to measure the exact temperature, but all ovens vary. And I like 425. For others, it may be 450, depending how hot your oven is. Okay, but I prefer 425. And then, for instance, the longer the dough bakes, for instance, my seed of the moment loaves, which don't have yeast, so I let them ferment for about 1 or 2 days. These ones I let bake for about 90 to even 100 minutes, sometimes even longer. Depends how large the loaves are. And for that, you want to make sure that you may want to reduce your heat to 400 or maybe even 390 so that the crust doesn't get too crispy. Depends. If you like it, if you like your loaf crispy, leave it at 425 for the entire time. That's fine. It all depends how soft. For instance, you could, if you really don't want the crust on your loaf, you can still bake in here and leave the lid on for most of the time, and just take it off maybe 15 minutes before the end. So you want the top of your loaf to brown a little bit. I'm not saying that it gets hard, but you need to bake it in such a way that the ingredients cook properly. Okay, so you want the leaf to come off. You could, certain bakeries leave the lid on all the time. This is especially for white breads. Those breads come out really, really soft. You can do the same with this here. I don't prefer this. I like my breads crispy. I want to display you how the breads come out. Uh, One of my subscribers asked me, can you please cut or slice your bread, in front of the camera? And I'm going to do this here now, so you can see what type of bread you get when you bake it in a form like this. It's solid, it doesn't fall apart. It's a wonderful mixture. This is our Seed the Moment mix. You can get it at ohmyloaf.com. I mentioned it before that I have reduced my prices because I received I obtained better pricing, and I want to give you pass my savings along to you, so you can buy the mixes at a better price. Um, give it a try. You will not be disappointed. I have a guarantee that if your first loaf doesn't come out right, I'll refund you your money. It is so easy to make. Give it a try. Good. So now you have an idea how to bake your bread with a wonderful crust on it. Okay. Again, if you have any questions, you can always put them in the chat, and I will answer them once I see them. Okay. Thank you so much for watching me today. I hope you have learned a little bit. I'll see you